Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, where Florida beaches are one flight away. Featuring nonstop service on Allegiant Airlines to Tampa, St. Pete, and Orlando Sanford from Bloomington. Close, convenient, CIRA. More at CIRA.com.
A former school principal is recovering from a rare cancer thanks to an unconventional treatment and a persistent nurse. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Tuesday, July 9th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with a story about rural homelessness. As WGLT's Melissa Ellen reports, it's a growing issue nationwide. In central Illinois, social service agencies are quickly realizing they may not have the resources to get people help.
Most rural counties surrounding Bloomington-Normal don't have homeless shelters. That was fine before, but with more people becoming homeless or on the brink of it, social service agencies say that's no longer the case. Caroline McLeese at the Salvation Army in Pontiac says the lack of homeless shelter in Livingston County is having an adverse effect.
I don't think a lot of this community who has not experienced this realizes just how truly bad it is and that something has to be done about it.
She says a shelter could be part of the solution. Social service agencies in Logan County say the same. That's why a nonprofit is trying to get a shelter up and running in Lincoln in the next few months. Kim Turner chairs the board of that nonprofit. She says a shelter is the first step to getting people help.
Obviously, having a roof over your head is extremely important, but it's not everything. It doesn't fix all of your problems. So we want to be able to address those problems for overall stability.
She says the shelter will do that by coordinating with other social service agencies in the area so care gaps are filled. It's the model that seems to fit Logan County best. Rural communities will each have to figure out what works for them. For the Leadoff, I'm Melissa Ellen.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. A Bloomington teenager has been identified as the person who was found dead in the Illinois River near Bartonville over the 4th of July weekend. The Peoria County coroner says 14-year-old LaRon Griffin drowned and his body was in the river no more than 2 days. The coroner says there was no evidence of trauma or injury inflicted by another person. Toxicology testing is pending. Democratic Congressman Eric Sorensen, who represents parts of Bloomington-Normal and Peoria, says at first glance there is a strong case for an express bus route between the two metropolitan areas. Sorensen says he supports the $1.2 million state feasibility study funded with federal dollars. Governor J.B. Pritzker has signed a pair of bills aimed at helping Illinoisans get out from under medical debt. One new law allows the state to partner with a nonprofit organization to buy the debt for cheap. The state's new budget allocates $10 million for that program. Pub 2, the popular sports bar and restaurant in Uptown Normal, is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. They hosted a community event last weekend. You can watch a WGLT video recap of the festivities produced by our very own Emily Bollinger, now at WGLT.org or on our YouTube channel. A former school principal in Hayworth is recovering from a rare cancer, thanks to an unconventional treatment and a persistent nurse. As WGLT student reporter Colleen Holden explains in this edition of WGLT's Sound Health.
Matt Andrews of Hayworth had been a school principal for the better part of 2 decades, when he began experiencing what his wife Sarah described as coordination issues and constant headaches in the fall of 2021. Knowing that something wasn't right, the pair sought out medical treatment for Matt to get to the bottom of the issue.
After the pathology reports came back and he had been in the hospital for a while, at that point, after surgery, found out that it was something called medulloblastoma, which is a brain cancer that's typically found in children, and it's pretty rare in adults, but it seems to be increasing in numbers.
Matt's treatment consisted of proton radiation, which uses high-powered energy to attack cancer cells. But his rare case became even more rare upon discovering how the radiation negatively impacted him. Matt suffered from a rare illness after completing the radiation, a highly unlikely side effect according to the Mayo Clinic. His strength was greatly reduced, and he now gets around on a wheelchair. For such an uncommon case, Matt's nurse practitioner Debbie Wheatfeld from Carl Brown Medical Center figured an uncommon treatment may be in order.
Hyperbaric oxygen treatment is a pretty complicated process, but essentially what it does is it forces high-pressured oxygen into the other tissues outside of the blood vessels themselves.
The oxygen treatment is common for treating wounds, but not for radiation. but Matt and Sarah Andrews felt they were running out of options. Unorthodox medical treatments can also be difficult to pitch to insurance providers, especially when the treatment is costly. Debbie Wheatfeld from Carle Health worked with the Illinois Department of Insurance to get the Andrews treatments covered.
The Andrews had essentially maximized every other option that would have been more, by the book. And so this was what was considered to be his best option as an adjunctive therapy. And so what the Department of Insurance was able to do is actually paint a broader picture and enable them to get covered for the additional treatments up to 60.
And 60 treatments later, Matt's quality of life had improved significantly.
I just felt better. It's like the light switched on, and we're working on my walking now, but other than that, my cognition was better, retention was good, and it just felt better.
Matt regained a lot of cognitive and motor skills thanks to the therapy. He recently took 10 steps on his own, and he hopes to walk again soon. But nurse practitioner Debbie Wheatfeld says one of the more meaningful wins was the return of Matt's personality.
The things for me that I started to notice is he was making jokes, and I got to know him as a sense of humor.
The effects of Matt's improvement are not limited to him and his physicians. Wife Sarah Andrews says the results of his treatment have launched hyperbaric oxygen therapy into new spaces, allowing treatment options to expand.
We were in Chicago in March for Matt's MRI and an appointment with his neuro-oncologist, and he said that since Matt's case had been so successful, they had started offering this suggestion to their patients. And that's a brain cancer office. They see many, many patients.
From rare forms of cancer to groundbreaking treatment options, Matt's story demonstrates how the future of medicine is more than capable of defying the odds. I'm Colleen Holden.
And wife Sarah Andrews says her husband no longer shows any signs of cancer. You can find more stories in WGLT's ongoing Sound Health series at WGLT.org.
Support for WGLT health coverage comes from Carle Health. You can count on Carle as your partner in healthcare. Information at carle.org.
Before we let you go, the Bloomington Liquor Commission meets today at 4 at the Government Center downtown. On the agenda are plans for a new liquor and smoke shop on Cottage Avenue that's near the Jewel Osco and an apartment complex. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show was produced by Lou Warner. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.